listening to Heroes Forge, a Heroes of the Storm podcast.
What's going on, Forgers? Welcome to Season 2, Episode number 79 of Heroes Forge, a community-driven podcast all about Heroes of the Storm. This is your show host, Jeff Reynolds, and I'm here with the co-host of the show, who is more awesome than an outdoor barbecue on a warm summer's day, or Maverick from Top Gun. It's Kristen Ashton.
Oh yeah, I was celebrating the 4th of July over here. You know, I got a sister that served. I have relatives that served in the army, so it's a big hoopla every 4th of July, and it's a good one. How's yours been so far?
It's good. Lots of celebrations this weekend. If you don't live in the States, this is when we celebrate the United States independence on the 4th of July. And no, I don't mean independence from aliens and how Will Smith saved the day, although that is pretty awesome.
That was probably one of the best movies about Independence Day I've ever seen. Not mainly because of Will Smith. He was great. But the president's speech toward the end of the movie, "We will not go silently into the night. We will not surrender." It's still amazing if you go back and watch it today.
It's riveting. It really is. But yeah, 4th of July is coming up this week, so lots of celebrations out there, and happy 4th of July to everyone out there that celebrates it. And let's talk about some other celebrations, and we got to talk about Stukov. It's so funny. We were on the show just last Sunday, and between last Sunday and this Sunday, Stukov is here. It was teased, and it's here.
It is. I mean, as soon as they posted that GIF with the Mobius and then the infestation going on, why would it not be Stukov? He is probably the most infested thing that people have wanted brought into the Nexus. And when they released his kit, it was really surprising how it was done. Sort of, you shoot people with infections, be they good or bad. I would have never guessed that.
Yeah, we didn't guess that when we did our forging of Stukov, and believe it or not, the planets are lining up here. This was exactly a year ago that we did Stukov on the show, where we were talking about what we thought he would be coming into the Nexus, this huge iconic StarCraft character to be brought in, and it looks like they've taken a cool, like, kind of odd way of supporting. And I mean, let's talk about that arm heroic where he reaches out with his, infested arm and pushes the enemy that he hits as far as it will go until it hits something. I mean, that's incredible.
It's so cool, especially because they captured the very essence of how cool it could be in the video, where the dude is sent all the way across the map. Talk about fight control potential.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's going to be so fun. And of course, I am a support main, so I can't wait to get my hands on Stukov. Different kind of support, but it'll be a lot of fun. And we don't know when, Kristen, we don't know when this is coming to us, do we?
No, we don't. No release date has been set, but I don't think it's too far of a stretch to assume there will be a PTR this Tuesday with him on it. But that being said, if it's not this Tuesday, definitely next Tuesday.
Oh, yeah. Get in there on the PTR. If you don't have the PTR, download it. It can be frustrating and fun. So get in there and have some fun games in there. The Summer of Heroes of the Storm loot boxes are out. Have you had a chance, Kristen, to get your Tychus? I mean, we need just like a week after week about the Tychus skin. Have you gotten the one that you wanted?
The hunt still goes on. I still do not have a Fun in the Sun Tychus. I can't whip out my Tyche during games, but I do now have a surfboard, and I do have the spray of Tychus bouncing his pecs, which I am sure to spray on the ground at the beginning of games for good luck, and then when we win, at the enemy's core.
Absolutely. Well, we need an update every week until we get that Tychus skin that you want. I actually pulled it from my second Summer of Fun loot chest, so I have it already. If I could transfer it to you, I would. But that brings up something that we haven't talked about in a while that's kind of interesting, is I'm hoping that before the holiday season rolls around, they allow us to be able to purchase and gift things like heroes and skins to other people on our friends list.
That's a really great idea, and it's definitely something I think a lot of people share, a feeling, because especially if someone you know doesn't play often and you play quite a bit, the ability to gift something, or say you open a box and you get something that, is for a hero you don't care about, maybe there's somebody on your list who would really, really like Roller Derby Nova, and so getting it wouldn't be so upsetting. As a non-Nova player.
Well, speaking of Nova players, we had the opportunity again on Saturday to play some Team League with the Zords over from Lords of the Storm, and also Kyle Ferguson from Into the Nexus. Kristen and I all teamed up and just got completely destroyed, but had an amazing time losing all of those games.
Very, very true. And we didn't lose every single game. We won the first one, and then I believe we won the last one, and we also won one of the pool parties. The pool party. Pool party.
Pool party, yeah. That brawl, we talked about it yesterday on the stream, but for all of our forgers out there, that brawl is my favorite brawl ever. It is so fun. If you haven't played it, get in there and play it.
It's amazing. You and your team are Bikini Stitches up against an enemy team of Bikini Stitches around a pool, and you try to hook one another across and kill each other. It's amazing.
Yeah, and it's fast. It's it's just quick movements and stuff. It's a blast. So get in there and play that pool party brawl. And it was I listened to Into the Nexus last week, and Kyle was talking about how, we got to remind ourselves sometimes that this is a game, that we're playing a game, and it's here for fun. And that was when I really had a really fun time that I thought, yeah, we're having a good time, even though we're losing all these games. It's still fun.
Exactly. And as long as you're having a good time with it, you should keep playing it, right? And I think for everybody, it varies a little differently as to how you can have fun with it, especially during the tougher times of losses. For me, I always like to take it as a learning experience. What can I pull from this match that I can then put into my future matches to make them better?
Oh, totally. And you guys are always the best at that, pointing that stuff out. And there were a lot of learnings, and it was a blast the entire time. Let's get on with what we're here to talk about. There was tons of news there and celebrations, but let's forge.
Let's forge.
All right, if this is your first time listening to HeroesForge, welcome to the show. We're going to take a character that's not in the Nexus yet, and we're going to imagine what they would be like if they were brought over here. Super simple, super fun. Okay, Kristen, who are we forging this week?
This week, we are bringing in something that we've actually never taken on here in HeroesForge. A tauren, and not just any tauren, Baine Bloodhoof.
Yeah, we haven't. And for the longest time, I kept saying to myself, Heroes of the Storm doesn't have a tauren and it doesn't have a Draenei. But I was just...
You're right.
No, it's ETC.
Oh, Epic Tauren Chieftain. Is he a tauren?
Yeah, I believe so. So that whole time I'm thinking we don't have a tauren out here, but we had ETC.
Sure, I guess he would kind of be. Although, to be honest, I've never really considered him a tauren, even though it's right there in his name, right? I've always just considered him a cowman.
We can't get away from cows on this show over the last couple of episodes. The Cow King, now Baine Bloodhoof. And so there's lots going on. What's up?
Oh, well, you know why? It's because it's summer, and we're all eating burgers.
That's right. On the 4th of July, we're all eating burgers out there, and so we're thinking about cows and Baine Bloodhoof. So for those of you out there asking who Baine Bloodhoof is, Kristen, why don't you give him a little backstory on Baine?
Can do. Son of Cairn and current High Chieftain of the Tauren, Baine Bloodhoof did not stumble upon this prestige. It was a title that took years to achieve and much sacrifice. After his father was slain during a duel with Garrosh Hellscream, Magatha Grimtotem immediately marched on Thunderbluff to claim the title as leader. This sent Baine into hiding until he was able to organize a counterattack and banish the matriarch once and for all, finally staking claim to his rightful place as the leader of the tauren.
Yeah, and I never... Oh, did you ever play tauren, Kristen? Because I know you're a Horde player. Did you ever play tauren?
I did, and I have a story with this, right? So it was college, and my friends were trying to get me into World of Warcraft because that's what they were playing. But they were heavily suggesting tauren shaman because the guild needed a shaman. So I rolled a female tauren shaman, and I was bored out of my mind. It was so boring. So I took some time off and eventually looked through it myself, rolled an undead rogue, and had a blast. So it was simply a mismatch of my play style with the type of character that I rolled.
Well, I kind of have the same feeling, and this is just my personal thoughts. The tauren never really ever appealed to me. Like, it's like we talked about a few episodes back about the gnomes and even the goblins, where I'm like, it's just not for me. But I see a ton of them running around, so people are all about it, and Baine is one of the main guys that I didn't know anything about when it came to tauren, because I hadn't done any research. But he goes all the way through the story up until where we are right now in the story. You can still go and, and do all the stuff with Baine and all of that, and he's in the cinematic with Sylvanas and Varian and all that stuff. So I mean, he's relevant still.
He certainly is, and maybe it's just one of the imaginings that really is a specialized appeal because of a certain type of humor or charm that others see, right? Because it's pretty hilarious to see a cow in full armor tanking a giant beast. I mean, the tauren physically do make the best tanks. But, like you said, with the gnomes and the goblins, there's just something missing for certain people. And maybe it is a type of comedy. So it is interesting to see how involved Baine is, but yet not really feel he's actually involved with your story at all. Because, I mean, look at Sylvanas with the undead. She has come to play an extremely significant part of the Horde story.
Oh, yeah. It comes to this point, though, and I was thinking about this while doing my research for Baine, was I pulled all the pages that I normally pull, and then I'm on one of the WoW Wiki pages, and it's just, you can scroll forever to read about this character that I hadn't even ever heard about, and all of the hours that I had poured into World of Warcraft, and it hit me like a frying pan, where I was just thinking, there is so much time, effort, creativity, amazingness that goes into creating the secret sauce that is World of Warcraft. And this is a perfect example of how crazy deep it goes and how most people don't even know half of it.
Exactly. And a big part of that, too, happens in the novels. And this is something that I had to think about, because I'm not a big novel reader when it comes to things. I think all of that stuff is way too much. If you can't fit it in the game, why would you even have it? But after giving it some thought, why wouldn't you have it? Because there are plenty of people who enjoy extended universes, who really just want to immerse themselves in the untold stories of the characters that can't really be fit into the video game properly. And so that's where a lot of this backstory of Baine comes from the novels. Warcraft itself doesn't offer much, but you read those summaries of those novels and you will have a much stronger understanding of where this tauren comes from.
Yeah, which is crazy. I mean, it's crazy great. And so there's a lot of stuff going on with Baine, but there's a lot of directions that you can go to bring a character to life in Heroes of the Storm, which is what we're going to talk about now. So, because Kristen won the Twitter vote last week for the best build, I get to go first this week, and the first thing that we start with is the role classification for this character, and we're each going to build a kit, and on my kit, I'm going to go with Warrior.
I gotta go with you there. Warriors are great. They're big, they're huge, they're enormous. Even the females are bigger than most of the other races. They're bigger than orcs, for crying out loud. So I think as a warrior, that would be pretty intimidating to go up against.
Yeah, and you hit the nail on the head at the beginning of the show when you said that the tauren, just their silhouette makes them look like tanks. I mean, they're big, huge, hulking creatures out there on the battlefield. So that was part of it. And also this trait that I thought of. You have to kind of stick with me through this, but at the end, tell me if this would even be a useful thing. So I'm going to attempt to speak a little bit of tauren, their native language here, which is what this trait is called. Ishni alopora. which means may the days ahead be guided by the elders of long ago. So Baine is patient, calm, wise beyond his years, and looks to spill as little blood as he possibly can by looking at every possible alternative that could avoid a battle. When activated, this trait would allow Baine to select a target in range and mark them with a debuff that shows their predetermined pathing on the minimap. What I mean by this is the dotted line that shows up on the map when you select a location that's far away. The marked player would not know that they are marked, and it would last for a short amount of time for all of that player's move commands.
Oh, so you're saying, why would this not be useful, man? If you're able to see where they're clicking, because who doesn't click on a long way away and then you're looking at traits, or you're checking out the rest of the map, or you're looking at your mini map? And this is especially useful if you're up against somebody who's trying to run away and is trying to juke you through the bushes. This would totally help you keep your eyes on them so you could hunt them down and finish the kill.
Yeah, and I had the same thoughts as you, and then I started second-guessing myself and thinking, well, I mean, if you're doing what you should be doing and you're trying to stutter step or move around, then you're going to be clicking a lot, and you're going to be moving around, and what would that look like on a convoluted already minimap, and would that even work? And so I was thinking that it's something that is so useful to know where they're headed, but is it possible? Who knows? Maybe they'd have to alter some things to make it happen, but we've seen worse.
Exactly, and maybe you wouldn't alter visually what happens so much as Baine would have to know who's going to be taking the longest way around so that you would actually see some sort of pathing. Because that person's pathing could also give away where the rest of the enemy team is without needing vision.
Yeah, so I was thinking, I mean, that's such a great way to get yourself in the right position and to body block for the win there, to know when you can, Thermopylae these people and put them in like a choke point, and you might be able to catch them off guard and ambush them there. So that was kind of like a tanky sort of thing to be able to do that. Now, the next thing that we're going to talk about is the mounting ability for Baine if he came in with a specialty mount. And when you look up tauren mounts and you just scroll through, they're all Kodos, right? Which we already have in the Nexus. We have like 2 or 3 different versions. Actually, I think 3 or 4 versions now. Armored, elemental, plain with just a saddle, all these Kodos. So I'm saying that he would come in with the Alpha Kodo, which is like this even bigger and even more armor. Maybe it's armored and elemental.
Oh, dude, that would be sick. I mean, and he's the chieftain of the tauren, all of the tauren. So imagine, too, if this one had horns coming out of its nose and spikes, because it's old as sin, but it's super, super powerful. And that's the mount that the chieftain always gets to ride.
Yeah, and it even has like a banner, like a standard bearer at the top of it or something. Or maybe there's like a little goblin holding a banner or something at the top of it. But it's got to be the number one, A+ number one Kodo if we already have a million Kodos already. So now basic abilities. So this first one is called Safeguard. So I built this kit basically on protection warriors because I wanted him to, it says that he is one of the, kindest, wisest, but he still can hold himself in a fight. Like he's still a warrior at heart out there on the battlefield. So I built it around like a protection warrior because I kind of felt like that's where it would fit. So the first one is called Safeguard. So he's going to drop down one shoulder and take 3 large steps forward at a medium pace. This is about the same pace as Leoric Skeletal Smash, right? And he's only going to take 50% damage from incoming attacks while he's doing this Safeguard motion. Kind of like he's battering ram charging forward, but slowly. During this motion, any damage that Baine takes will feed his alternate bar entitled Protection. The protection meter will be what he uses for his other abilities.
Oh, cool. So he's soaking damage in order to increase the effectiveness of his other abilities.
Correct. So, but he can only gain what I'm calling protection while using Safeguard. So this is on a really short cooldown, and it just moves him forward, and anyone that attacks him during this is feeding his meter.
Okay, cool. So in that case, then he'd have to play similar to a Zarya in that you'll be popping this because there's going to be incoming damage. So you're going to shove yourself in front, soak that damage, and then use that to lash back at the enemy. I like that. And I really like how you're sticking to a more passive warrior because you're right. Though he did fight for his crown, he is very much about peace at all costs.
Yeah, and that's something I really took away from the lore when I was reading through it. And we don't have a character. I mean, we do, but we don't really have what's coming in my build here. Let's get on to the second one. This one's called Inspiring Presence. So with this basic ability, it's really simple. Baine blows his war horn and inspires his team members within range, causing them to be healed for a percentage of all the damage they deal for the duration of this ability.
Nice. A simple reward for your team doing what they should be doing. That's always a great thing to have with a tank, especially to a Zarya when you take the one where your ally's shield gives you power. If they know that and they soak damage with that shield on, just the back and forth of you two helping one another really builds a camaraderie.
Yeah, and this is kind of like an anti-Malthael trait, right? I was going to put a percentage in here of like 2.4% health for each time you attack or each, but I didn't. But I was thinking that as I was building this because let me tell you what, I played a game as Malthael against a Cho'Gall, and I could take the Cho'Gall out, both of us at full health. I could take the Cho'Gall out by myself because of those sorts of, percentage-based abilities like that.
I understand what you're saying, and it's very, very true. Malthael is a tank buster if he gets in there. There was a game I played today similar to that, except I was on Sonya, my friend was on Zarya, and we were up against a Malthael, and it took the two of us to take that guy down, and we had slivers of health left.
Yeah, it's nasty. So this ability really acts as that same sort of fashion, but opposite. So you have to be doing damage in order to be healed by this inspiring presence of Baine on the battlefield. Going even one step further, though, is the third basic ability, which is called Ignore Pain. So when activated, Baine is able to ignore all damage that is being done to him. The amount of damage that is able to be ignored is based on how much protection Baine has saved from his Q. When used, his protection bar will start to glow, and all damage done to him will take away his protection, not his health. Reminder, protection maxes out at the same amount of health Baine has. So you can't just keep stacking protection on top of it. It kind of works like a Ariel meter that goes underneath. You can't just be, put the crown on Kael'thas and just let him go to town and then ultimate heal the entire game. This works just like that. So you fill up basically a second health bar that you're able to use as soon as you activate this.
Okay, cool. So with that second health bar, the protection bar, does it decay over time, or once you get it filled, it's up to you when to use it?
I don't know. What do you think would be more balanced and stronger? I mean, I would say that it wouldn't decay because there are other things like that in the game that don't decay. But then again, this is pretty powerful. You could just, soak up a whole second health bar and have to be killed twice. So maybe it does decay.
Yeah, and maybe it's based off of the cooldown of the Q. So if the Q is a pretty long cooldown, you turn it into this balancing act so that you're not popping E as often as Varian pops parry.
That's a really great idea, and that's really funny because that's constantly one of the most frustrating things to me when playing the game, and one of the best things when you're playing it. Let's get on to some heroics here. So the first heroic is called In Need of Peace. So Baine selects an area on the battlefield that becomes a peace zone, or an area that neither team can do any damage in while inside the circle. This circle would be about the size of a chromie slowing sand circle. So I don't think it's enough to just say that the damage cannot be done in the circle. It's better to say that all players that are in this circle cannot deal damage or take damage while inside.
Nice. So are you thinking this would be more to protect your team or to pacify the enemy?
I think you could use it for a whole bunch of reasons. I see the obvious reason where you're trying to save your buddies that are going down. I see another reason where you could try to, like you said, pacify the enemy, but also objectives and things like that. If you go into an objective and you're trying to imagine two people that are on opposite teams that are trying to collect the objective at the same time.
Oh, that would be pretty interesting.
Because you can't, like, you know, let's say it's a tribute. We're not going to just both walk up. Actually, I don't even know if that's a thing, if you can do that now. But if you would just both walk up, not hurt each other, not touch, you know, not even attack each other, and just try to channel the tribute at the same time, would it be whoever tried to pick it up first?
I would imagine so, because that's how it works with your own teammates. So why wouldn't it work the other way? That's fascinating, because then too, you could send up a weaker hero, like a Murky, for instance, up against, I don't know, Avala, and grab it before they could without sacrificing too much meat, too many of the higher damage dealers on the team.
Yeah, so this is in a way like a void prison or a maw, but not, because you're still able to move. I mean, it's just a different kind of thing. And I don't even know if it's practical or, I mean, because the fact is it is a peace zone all around where no one is attacking or being attacked. So I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's absolutely practical. I mean, Void Prison, though it stuns everybody, things that completely negate combat and negate damage, those are great for zoning. You can't deny the importance of those for the zoning. However, you would have to be extremely careful of making sure if somebody's at the tribute, an enemy that's already channeling, you knock them first before dropping the peace zone. Otherwise, they're going to be protected and they're going to grab it.
That's a great, I mean, or you could just, you know, Crystal Aegis Zul Jin that's going into a Tazdingo.
You could, you know, there's always the potential for that. But I mean, it's a learning experience every time either way. And the more you learn, the more effective you can be at different heroes in the game.
Speaking of learning, I did learn a little bit more tauren while I was doing my research here, and I'm going to do my best to not mess up this next heroic name, which is called Makuna Hatata, which means without worries.
It sounds familiar, but I can't quite place my finger on where the tauren picked this one up.
It really was difficult for me to not say Hakuna Matata here, but so I read that, and they're obviously playing off of Hakuna Matata, without worry. So this heroic, Baine calls forth for help from the powers of the Earthmother with this heroic. This time, Baine selects this heroic, and he will have a 2-second window to click as many friendly heroes that are within range. After this 2-second timer is complete, all of the selected heroes will be swept behind Baine in a straight line, and also given the inspiring presence buff as long as they stay behind Baine. This will allow for the Baine player to soak any damage that is possibly incoming, as well as possibly gain the upper hand with positioning. And also, it's a play off of when they're all walking across the log in The Lion King.
I was going to say, that's an adorable hats off to Lion King. That scene is just so classic and so recognized. Why wouldn't you not try to work it into Heroes?
Yeah, so, but I think maybe, I don't know, this, you could be setting yourself up for some really bad stuff with an ability like this. Like, you could be setting up for a strafe that, you know, lands all 5 characters, or, you know, any sort of those abilities that just, you know, shoot in straight lines that penetrate through. I mean, you're really just lining it up. Indiana Jones, Raiders of the Lost Ark status. It's just going to go straight through everybody that's standing there. Or there's some utility to it. Like if it pushed everybody behind you, maybe you could gain stacks of, you know, whatever. You could inspire people around you and then charge into battle. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. And why wouldn't you want a tank that has the ability to reposition everybody, especially if you see somebody who's often pushing a little too far forward than what they should be doing. It's a way to circumvent unnecessary deaths simply because of unwise placement choices, either through mistaken clicks or through not known knowledge. But at the same time, that puts the burden of execution on the enemy team to take those straight line talents, right? Because if they don't, then they can't take advantage of this and make Baine pay for taking this heroic.
Right. It goes both directions there. Yeah, there's a whole lot that you could do, and I can't wait to hear your ideas on it. If I had to sum up my whole build, I wanted him to be a body blocking protection warrior in the Nexus, because he's all about being patient, calm, and wise, and I just wanted to get that feel rather than, just going running in there and just demolishing. That's not what I got from it. So that's what I was thinking that he would be like. So that's my build there. But before we get on to Kristen's build, we're going to have a few people to thank here. And the first people that we always have to thank are our patrons. Everyone that helps support the show over on patreon.com/HeroesForge. You can visit that website to check it out if you'd like to support the show as well. And a huge thank you to all of our patrons over there. Huge. I was at a loss for words because I can't even tell you how much I want to thank you guys for supporting the show week after week. You help make it possible. Thank you to everyone that is giving us a 5-star review on iTunes. It really helps the show grow, so thank you so much for helping that. And if you do like the show and listen to us on iTunes, drop us a 5-star review and leave us a little note, and we'll give you a shout out at this point in the show. Also, thank you to everyone that joins us live in chat. This week we aren't recording the show live, but we'll be back next week to record the show live for you. So check it out. It records live 7 p.m. Pacific on twitch.tv/Amove TV. All right, Kristen, let's get to it. What role classification are you going with?
Warrior. He's just too big. I can't see a tauren being a support or an assassin or anything. They're so big. He would just tank so much damage and it would look legit.
Yeah, do you know if people that play tauren, do they take offense to people calling them cows?
Maybe it depends on how into the role playing they are. And listeners, feel free to let us know. Is cow a derogatory term for a tauren?
I honestly don't know. I would assume that would be something, but I really don't know. So I totally agree. Huge silhouette on the battlefield. It's got to be there. It's got to be a warrior. So what trait goes along with that?
The trait is entitled Cursings Upon You. If Baine knocks an enemy, they are marked to receive less healing for a few seconds. And this is something that's going to compound as the rest of his build comes to light through this.
Okay, cool. So maybe I won't ask too many questions here, but I'm wondering what the Nox is. Are you mean, doing basic abilities to them, or is this an activatable trait that puts this onto them?
Oh, that's a great question. So when I'm thinking knock, I'm thinking bumping into heroes. So I guess that would kind of be a new movement mechanic, very similar to Varian's E. Yeah, that kind of knock into.
Or Diva's Q, right? Where you could kind of dash in there, that same sort of feel?
Exactly. So a bumper car type of thing, but maybe with not as much displacement from Diva.
Okay. Ooh, I can't wait to see where this is going. Okay, what about mounts? What were you thinking?
Well, for the mount, the Kodo is a fantastic idea because you're right, the taurens ride Kodos. But because he's very spiritual in nature, and a lot of this emphasis, the design comes from totemic societies and everything, I wanted to give him an animal spirit. And one of those that would change with the seasons. So it would be either a bear, or a lion, or a fox, or a caribou based on whether it was spring, summer, fall, or winter.
Yes, we need these seasonal skins that change with the seasons. That's something we totally need in this game. I love this idea. It's great. I mean, so cool.
Thanks. Yeah, and it would be ghostly. Maybe the thing you could change would be the color of the spirit. Maybe there would be further along spirits that have armor on them. So there's a lot of cool stuff that could go there. Basically, his soul animal.
Oh, it's great. Totally great. Okay, what are you thinking about basics to go along with that?
Okay, the first one is going to be called Uppercut. And this is where he takes his weapon and he swipes it upward, where the target enemy is briefly stunned and knocked away.
Nice. So this is a great combo of a lot of abilities that we know. So you're knocking them and they're stunned when they land, or are they stunned as they're flying back?
They're stunned as soon as the weapon makes contact with them. So right when it hits them, right before they're knocked back. And I would imagine this would be very, very useful as an interrupt, especially for those heroes that just cast spells. You go in, you knock them, and that negates what they were going to do, like a Yorick, the life leeches, Gul'dan.
Oh, totally. And this reminds me a lot of a close melee range Anubarak stun, right? Because it's got that same pop-up kind of feel. Is that what you're thinking?
Yeah, that's exactly it, pretty much. Except, instead of from the ground, you're already standing there. They know that they have been targeted, and they are going to receive a world of hurt.
A world of uppercut. Finish him. So what's your second basic ability?
The second one is called Bull's Rush In. Giving the charge with his horn, all friendly heroes nearby receive movement speed, while Bloodhoof charges in a direction controlled by the player, knocking enemies out of the way. If he connects with an enemy at the end of this charge, they are briefly stunned.
Oh, okay. So everybody around you isn't charging. They are just having increased movement speed.
Correct. And I would imagine this would be a very, very small area, so you would need to be close to him. And it would be kind of okay, here's a move speed. I'm leaving you as your tank, so please get somewhere safe while you charge in deep. And it's not one of those straight line charges. This is something you would get to control. So you would try to hit as many heroes as possible. And eventually you'd need to learn the length and how it plays out so that you would be more sure of hitting a hero once it reaches its end.
Oh, I get it now. So you're charging straight like a diva charge, like that kind of thing. But at the end of it, there is maybe like, how they show those little like outlines or silhouettes on the battlefield for your abilities when you hover over them, where they're going to go, what they're going to do, So are you imagining like at the end of this charge, there'd be some sort of like, I don't know, like a star or something on the field that would show you where that actual connection point would be?
Yeah, that would be a great idea. And maybe it would do some calculations to kind of predict where you would move during this, so the star would change. But there is a star at the end to kind of indicate, or maybe there's a timer that counts down. That would probably be a better indication.
Oh yeah, that's really good. I like the timer idea, but that's a better idea. Oh, this is great. So then once you get in there, if you do briefly stun somebody at the end of this, then you're going to uppercut them?
Exactly. You just keep them stun locked. And we need one hero that can just do all the CC, so then you don't need other CCs on the team.
Hell yeah, we do, because I play a ton of games where for some reason we don't draft any CC, and we're in there like, this is going to be just fine, and they have all the CC on their side, and then it's just GG.
Yeah, right at the beginning. But at least it's a shorter game, hopefully.
And then get on to the next game. What's the next basic ability?
The next one is called Enrage. Now, imagining the enemy's faces are all now Garrosh, Bloodhoof sends himself into a frenzy, dealing extra damage while attacking a lot faster. Now, this attack that he does that's faster works as a cleave, and any enemies that are struck 3 times in a row are knocked away.
Oh, this is so cool. This reminds me of just hordes of armies coming at you and you just being in such this enraged or bloodlust feeling where you're just, slashing away and like bodies are flying away from you because you're just that enraged.
Exactly. And we know Bloodhoof has had a terrible thing happen to him. His father was killed at the hands of Garrosh, who eventually proved to be insane and needed to be taken down. So what if behind this peaceful demeanor, he's really trying to keep caged the monster within?
And this is all it would take. It's just pressing E and then bam. And it reminds me I'm thinking of Sauron like walking with that giant, scythe or whatever it is that he has. I think it's a mace, actually. Just like wiping people off the battlefield. That's enraged.
Oh, totally. Oh my goodness, yes. Maybe he grows 3 times in size and he starts stepping on enemy heroes, breathing fire out of his mouth. It's amazing.
Totally amazing. What's your first heroic?
The first one is known as the Spirit of My Ancestors. Calling out to the spirits, Bloodhoof's deceased relatives materialize on the field of battle, one for each nearby enemy hero. Enemies with this are considered haunted and suffer an attack damage debuff, being made passive by the spirits that haunt them. The longer they are haunted, though, the slower they move, falling further under the effects.
Oh, okay. So how long did the spirits stay there?
I would imagine this would be an area effect. That Bloodhoof, he wouldn't be channeling, but it would be channeled. So it would have an area. If you get out of the area, you're no longer haunted by this spook, because Bloodhoof can only call upon these ancestors in a limited range.
Oh, I see. So you're not assigning a spirit to a hero. You're assigning an area for a spirit.
Exactly. So this would really hurt the people that come in too close, and it would kind of keep his team safer because of those that push in too deep.
Oh, yeah. And then, of course, the people are going to jump in there and stay too long. Your Samoros or whatever are going to be trying to, get that last hit while they're in there. But then, of course, you could just enrage. And if they're running away from you, you could charge them down and then uppercut them. I mean, it's got great synergy here. And you could even set up ambushes with this. And I love that.
Oh, you could. And ambushes are so much fun when they work out.
Oh, yeah. What does Kyle say? The gank bush?
Yep, exactly. The gank bush. Everybody in the bush. And I know for a while it was known as the Chinese meta because a lot of the Chinese teams were hiding in bushes waiting to ambush the enemy players. It was a beautiful time.
Something I saw recently, this is a side topic, but I was playing bottom on a Cursed Hollow map. I was in the bottom lane, and in the mid lane there was a Jaina and a Zool, and they were doing their thing in the mid lane, which is a weird place for them to be anyway. But when the tribute at the top spawned, I, of course, was by myself. I forget who I was playing, but I mounted up and I started riding up, and they knew that I was going to be riding to the tribute, so they were just in a bush right there, just waiting for me to pass by. I got bone prisoned, and then I got just completely shut down. So that was a cool little strat that I had seen there, which is neat.
Oh, that's amazing. And that's so much fun to then try out on your own, right? You get a friend and then you run around and you do crazy stuff. My sister and I have been doing Tracer Valera, and it has been hilarious how many people we can gank because of her ability with Valera to stick somebody down, and my ability to read the mini map and really pick out those that don't learn from their mistake of being alone all the time.
That's great. Yeah, I love stuff like that. Okay, we got one heroic to go on Kristen's build. What's your second heroic?
All right, this one is called Totemic Sacrifice, and this is because I want Bloodhoof to be a bit more violent than he is. Bloodhoof throws down 3 totems in a triangle. 3 totems that demand one thing: blood. Any enemy hero caught inside will be trapped there due to spirit walls connecting the totems and subsequently be drained of blood. If this kills them, Bloodhoof delivers the final blow, a la Kali Ma and the second Indiana Jones.
If you're going to go off the wall with Baine, this is how you want to go out, ripping somebody's heart out in a totem triangle that's also sucking out their blood. This is like a Leoric entomb with a zombie wall and Kalima.
It's pretty disgusting. Basically, you don't want to be stuck in this. And I really kind of wanted to go with his last name, Bloodhoof. That implies that at some point in his family's lineage, a tauren got blood on their hoof, probably from violent ways, and it was passed down through the ages.
Or they just got like a bloody nose and like a drop of blood fell on their hoof and they were at grade school, which can be a mean place, and somebody was like, hey, Bloodhoof, and then that stuck forever, all because of a bully.
Oh, that's so sad. But that plays into it too, because Baine wouldn't stand for that. He grew up wanting vengeance, and every time he gets somebody in this totem, he hopes it was the bully.
That's right. And we'll never know when it actually is the bully. Man, I love this stuff. Let's start. How do you sum up your whole build, Kristen, with that last one, that last crazy heroic? How do you sum it all up?
This build I have summed up with a moving tribute.
And the cow puns continue. And I have to plug the Cow King episode one more time. It's 2 episodes back where there were tons of cow puns. But Kristen, I really like this synergy. I love kits that have combos in them. Like, I love Kerrigan's kit. I'm no good at it, but I love that has that, synergy to it. I love ETC, slide in, push everybody out, body block. I love that stuff. Your kit has some awesome synergies with these, rushing in, enraging, and then uppercutting them into a triangle of the Bermuda Triangle of blood and death.
Well, there we go. I mean, maybe that's what the Bermuda Triangle has been this whole time. We've just never gotten anybody back to know.
Nope. Let's talk about specialty skins and dance moves. I will start this one out with my specialty skin. You talked about how he's all about Mother Nature, all about all the nature. So I thought, why not a botany Baine when he's got a bug sprayer instead of like a... mace or whatever weapon he has.
That's adorable. And then he can kind of have that poison ivy complex where he cares more about the plants than he does about the heroes. Oh, that's adorable. And then maybe his hair is green vines and he's got flowers growing and bumblebees dancing around.
Yeah, so I went with a kind of less crazy skin today, but I thought it might fit with Mother Earth. What were you thinking for your skin?
Well, there was a request. I did see this on Twitter that we do some 4th of July freedom building. So straight to you listeners, we have Baine Freedom Hoof. Donning an eagle's costume, Baine represents all things America. His weapon is a giant sparkler. His ancestors in his ultimate are the founding tauren fathers, and his stuns let loose the cry of a bald eagle, which I learned is actually the call of a red-tailed hawk because the actual sound of a bald eagle is very silly.
America, Bloodhoof.
Coming again to say the Bloodhoof and day, yeah.
That is great. No words need to be said past Baine Freedom Hoof. What is your dance move?
The dance move, I thought we could move into more of the classic style and give him a Native American war dance. And he would perform this to increase the likelihood of victory for himself and his teammates.
That's just cool. I think that would be really cool. It does have that kind of feel, like the tauren to me with the totems and it's very cool. That's a great idea. So my dance has a backstory. And I forgot to tell you to watch this video so that you could laugh at me and with me with this dance move. So I literally just went to Google and typed in dancing cow, okay? And after I typed in dancing cow, there's actually a video, which I'm going to link in the show notes, and Kristen, you can watch it after and sit and laugh with me. But it is this inflatable cow that goes into supermarkets in Mexico as like a promotion thing, but the cow is a very, very, very funny and talented dancer inside of this costume. So you must watch the video and you must tell me if you think it's as funny as I do.
Yes, well, absolutely. I mean, if it's anything like those inflatable T-Rex videos that have been going around, this sounds perfect.
It's very similar to that. Yeah. And what I'll do, everybody out there, is I'll tweet out the link as well so you can watch the video. And also it'll be in the show notes on our website, which is HeroesForge.club. And with all of those specialty skins and dance moves, we can say that this hero was forged. Totally and completely, we have forged Baine Bloodhoof here on Heroes Forge. And Kristen, I think that we've got tauren on the horizon. I think we have Draenei on the horizon. I think they're going to really round out World of Warcraft because it obviously has the most characters to pull from and the biggest player base.
Certainly. And if anything, they may do Draenei before tauren because, like you pointed out earlier, Epic Tauren Chieftain is a tauren. So we technically do have one in the Nexus already, and we've had him for a while. So maybe to tie with the conclusion of the current World of Warcraft Legion, Velen very well could be coming up. I mean, we've got a new healer in the works. Why not another?
And how many orcs do we need? Like, how many? I think 0, but we have, how many do we have out there now? 3?
We've got Thrall, we've got Rexar, who is half orc, half something. He's something big. Not a giant, but something like a giant. We've got Rhaegar. And is that it with orcs?
I think it's 3, yeah. Gosh, I can't even tell you, but I think it's 3. Yeah, so, I mean, we got 3 orcs, we got 1 tauren, we got 0 Draenei. I think it's time for Draenei, but I think tauren are also underrepresented, so there could be an opportunity to bring another tauren, and maybe it's Baine, maybe it's Baine's father. I mean, there's a bunch of famous tauren out there.
There really are, and the silhouettes are pretty unique, especially if we're talking about Baine, because he generally has those 2 giant totems on his back in that X shape, which would be very, very clear to see on the battlefield.
Yeah, it'd be really neat. And I think there's a ton of cool tanky stuff that you could do in a different way, where the body blocking would be real, and like in your kit, some really awesome combos. So that is Baine Bloodhoof for you. And before we round this show out, I just also want to say a big happy 4th of July to everybody out there that's celebrating again this week. Have a good, safe, fun time from all of us here at Heroes Forge. And Kristen, where can people find you this week on your, when you're not on this show, where are you in the interwebs?
When I'm not on this show, I am very much at my Twitch/Dream Destroyer. That is DRMDESTRYR. Also on YouTube, Twitter, and Instagram.
And do you have any special plans for streaming this week because of the holiday?
No special plans. The schedule will continue as usual. 9 a.m. Pacific is when it kicks off because Witcher 3, it's amping up. Kyle finished the game already, so he is raring to talk about the ending, and I just keep being told it keeps getting better. I don't know how this game is so good, but it is amazing, Jeff.
I gotta get in on it. I have to play that game. I hear nothing but amazing things. If you're looking for me, you can find me right here on Heroes Forge. I gave you pretty much all of the information already during the show. We record live on Sunday nights at 7 p.m. Pacific, twitch.tv/Amove TV. Check out all of the awesome entertainment and podcasting over on Amove.tv. Lots of really great content over there. Also, if you're looking for us on Twitter, you can follow us at our handle, which is @ForgeHeroes. Our website is HeroesForge.club. You can also find us on YouTube, which is where all the recordings of the live recordings are, over on YouTube.com/HeroesForge. Download the show on your favorite podcasting app. A thank you again to all of our patrons out there and all of the people that have given us 5-star review on iTunes. And a thank you to everyone that joins us in chat again as well. Kristen, final thoughts on Baine?
Final thoughts on Baine. He would be a lot of fun because unlike ETC, Baine would bring the actual soul of the tauren race into the game itself. He would be far more tribal. He would be far more in line with the beliefs that we've all seen in Warcraft.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, and like we said before, it's definitely possible out there to get Baine in the Nexus for sure. We're gonna cross our fingers for some Stukov next week, and while we all wait, I can tell you this: we'll see you all in the real world.